undercover narcotics agent. I sit with murderers and made men, and I lie. I lie my ass off.
Let's talk about sticking to the facts with Infiltrator, because you could have taken this story and changed it and made it all sorts of different,
Sure.
ways. What? And I know that you took some liberties because it is Hollywood.
Yeah,
but,
you have to.
But I know that you also worked really closely with Bob. And why was it important to you to stick to, as many of the facts in the story as
I think there's a lot of reasons. I'll mark them down for you. The first conversation I had with Bob, he told me a story of when the script was being developed at another company in Hollywood and how they just totally just threw out the book and threw out everything and just made all these liberties and how heartbreaking it was for him. And I heard that heartbreak in his voice, and I knew if I was in his shoes and lived that story, I would never want that. And the reason I was on the phone with him was because of his story, so I should honor it. So that was definitively the first reason. The second reason is I'm a filmmaker by trade, so to act like I'm an undercover cop, to act like I know that world, to act like I've lived that world, that would be fraudulent, and my only way in and the realism of it was through Bob. So I had to bring Bob in as close as possible, and then from that you get the truth. And I think in the reality and the truth of it, it's more interesting than the fiction. So for me, that was the route that I went with. I didn't make a move without Bob. So that was equally important. Also, my mom, who wrote the script, Ellen Furman, coming from a legal background, she's all about the facts and the details and those kind of things. So she really wanted to honor that as well. So we really all collectively coalesced in a way that we wanted to do that. Now, yes, there were liberties that I felt like we had to take because it was the best way to tell the world of Escobar and to amplify the stakes and to make it a great movie experience for people, hopefully great. But other than that, I mean, we weren't doing it unless we absolutely felt we really needed to or had to.
What, speaking of Escobar, why do you think we're so fascinated with the drug culture? Why are we so interested in seeing these movies of dangerous bad people?
Well, everybody wants to live vicariously through, at least escape in a movie, especially live in a way that we can't per se. But he's the ultimate rags to riches story. I mean, he came from nothing, came from sheer poverty, and then when he became so successful, he was constantly giving money to the poor. That's why to this day people still love him, regardless of his terrorism and all this crazy, terrible stuff that he did. There's a big divide about how people feel about Escobar, and many felt he was Robin Hood. And people are okay with robbing from the rich and giving to the poor. And I think there's so many elements and layers of Pablo that are fascinating, and it's a story himself, his own story, up until Narcos, had never been told at all. Everybody had tried. The greatest filmmakers in the world had tried, never mounted it. So I think we're in a time and place where it's hitting the zeitgeist in a way, and people are fascinated. Plus, with El Chapo in Mexico, and he wouldn't be here today if it wasn't on the shoulders of an. So a lot of those reasons collectively.
Can you give me something to talk collectively about your cast? Bryan, John, Ben.
I keep speaking of the familial experience with respect to the fact that Benjamin Bratt I've known 20 years from my days of working as an assistant for Julia Roberts. Yul Vasquez I've known 20 years from that same period of time. John Leguizamo starred in my first movie, The Take, and then in Lincoln Lawyer, and is one of my dearest friends, as these other two gentlemen are. Diane Kruger and I wanted to work together on a movie prior, so this was a perfect fit. Bryan, was such a leader, with such little to do on Lincoln Lawyer, and we just bonded like this, and we said we want to make movies together, and this was the first real opportunity to do so. So it's been a real, Michael Paré as well, he was my childhood hero, so to put him in a cameo and have him gain 40 pounds for the role, it moved me, and all of these people came to bat for myself and all of us. So.
And it's quite an ensemble.
I tried my best, thank you, you're sweet.
Good.